living with my ruthless ex-husband, Prolauge, Gary. I want a divorce, he said. I was left dumbfounded. I was asking him about the text, but I wasn't expecting him to ask this question. I still can't find my voice to answer him. I don't know what went wrong in our marriage. Why? So you can be with your mistress? I sarcastically told him. I don't have a mistress. He shouted back at me. I'm so fed up with your continuous nagging and paranoia. I can't take this anymore. Let's have a divorce. I'll prepare the papers first thing in the morning. Tears started to roll down my cheeks. My voice cracked when I finally spoke. Is she that important to you? I asked him. My God, Margaret, how many times do I have to tell you that nothing is going on between us? She's just a colleague. Stop being paranoid. I don't believe you. Now, you're telling me that nothing is going on between the two of you. I wasn't born yesterday, Lucas. Stop making a fool out of me. I started throwing punches at him. But he's much taller than me and way bigger. He quickly subdued my punches. He is now holding both of my hands. Stop this, Gary, he said softly. Stop making this hard for both of us. It's not working anymore. This constant fight and you doubting me are eating up all the energy in my body. Let's give ourselves a rest, he said while slowly putting down my hand. I don't know if he's right. I suppose this is really what's best for us. I loved him with all my heart, and all my insecurities, doubts, and fear of losing him are taking a toll on me. I loved him so much that I always thought that I wouldn't be enough for him, that he will jump to any woman if given a chance. Why not? Lucas is the most sought lawyer in the Philippines, and used to be the most sought after bachelor. All the most beautiful and powerful women are lining up to get a taste of him, and yet here he is, married to an ordinary and plain-looking woman. There's nothing special about me, and that's what's killing me nowadays. How could you do this to me? I thought you loved me. I was still confused about what was happening. Are we really getting a divorce? Is this the end of our marriage? I did, Gary, but love wouldn't be enough if we were both miserable. We need to let each other go. Slowly, his grip started to loosen, and my hands fell on my side while I was staring at the floor. Feeling defeated, I went down on both knees and started begging him, please, don't do this. Don't leave me, I begged. He quickly straddles towards me and scoops so I can be back on my feet. Stop it, Gary. Begging won't change anything. You shouldn't beg. At least have some respect for yourself. He wasn't shouting, and I didn't hear any traces of insult from his words, but I felt small at that moment. I never begged in my entire life except for today. After that incident, he left for the night. I waited for him till morning, hoping that we can still sort this out. But he didn't come home. Days had passed, and I even don't see any traces of him, just the divorce paper he drafted for me to sign. I went to his office to check on him, but before I even stepped inside the building, I saw him sitting in a coffee shop nearby and sharing a laugh with Sandy, the woman we keep arguing about. I was about to confront them when their faces slowly started to press together, and their lips began locking with each other. I felt the stream of tears flowing through my cheeks, and all my hopes began to collapse. That's all in my mind while running away from the scene. Chapter 1. Gary. Inning. Where would I put this? I asked Inning Mercy, the owner of the flower and pottery shop where I was working. Just put it beside the sunflowers, she said. I smiled at her and walked towards where the line of potted sunflowers was located. I put down the pots that I was carrying beside the sunflowers. These are the pots that I just made from the pottery shop. After the divorce, I went back to my hometown in Igig, Cagayan. I didn't know where to start before then. I was at a loss. I don't have any family to run to and no place to go. I decided to go back to where my parents met and had me. I'd been astray for a couple of days when I arrived here in Cagayan, with just a couple of bills in my pocket. I tried to look for a job while looking for a place to stay, and to my luck, I met Inning Mercy. She owns a flower and pottery shop, and she took me in and let me work for her even though I don't have any work experience related. Since then, she started to train me how to make pots out of clay. It was close to sculpting. That's why I began to love the job even more. It took me months before I could finally make a perfect pot. Inning Mercy also let me experiment with different shapes and designs of the pots. Slowly, her shop becomes famous in Igig for having one-of-a-kind pots. No pot coming from their shops are the same. She always makes it a point that every pot she makes will be unique. That's one of the reasons why most of their clients choose to buy pots from them. I haven't heard from Lucas since the divorce. It's been 3 years since then. All I know is that his company started to grow big internationally. There are several times that I saw him in a magazine, but I didn't bother to read what it said. I don't care about him anymore. Inning Mercy managed the shop alone, but she has a couple of staff, including me. There's Cuerberto, 35 years old middle-aged man, who drives the delivery truck and the one who manages the delivery of our products. There's also Ray, the same age as me, who makes all the regular pots while I'm the one responsible for all the customized and unique pots. We also have Elsa, who serves as our cashier. All of them go home to their respective houses after their shift. I was the only one who left with Inning Mercy. Inning Mercy has 2 children, and both of them are now living in Canada and work there as nurses. They are both married now, and have their family of their own. All of them are currently staying in Canada. They were hesitant when they found out that Inning Mercy is letting me stay at her house. Who wouldn't be? I am a stranger to them, and they have all the right to doubt me. According to her, she felt something different towards me. That's why she didn't hesitate to take me in and let me stay with her. Since then, I always pour my heart out in all the work that she'll give. Later on, her children finally agreed to let me stay with Inning Mercy. Soon enough, her children felt comfortable with the idea of me living with their mother. It was actually a convenience since there will be someone to look after their mother. Inning is not getting any younger. That's why her children wanted her to close the shop so she can go to Canada and stay with them. But Inning Mercy didn't want to leave the shop. This is the only thing that reminds her of her late husband. Aren't you tired, Gary? That was a heavy lifting you did back there, Inning said, referring to the pots that I carry out from the workshop. Inning, that was nothing. I'm stronger than I look like, I jokingly said to her. They say that it might be difficult for you to bear a child if you always lift heavy objects, Inning said. It was one of the urban myths that people from the province used to believe. Inning, why would I think about having a child when I don't even have a boyfriend? Speaking of boyfriend, Arnaldo is asking about you the last time. Why don't I give him your number, huh? She said while her eyebrows are wiggling and she's smiling, clearly enjoying teasing me. Arnaldo is the son of our mayor here in Igig. He used to pick up the pots and flowers that her mother ordered from us. He's good looking and clearly came from a well-off family. But I already had enough of dating a rich man. I even married one, and look how it turns out. Inning, I don't have time for boys. Who knows if Arnaldo already has a girlfriend? Besides, he's not my type, Inning, I told her while I continued watering the plants that were displayed in our shop. Then what's your type? Said the familiar baritone voice coming from my behind. Maybe it's my mind playing a trick on me. I can't be hearing his voice. I froze at my spot. I can't even turn my body to put a face on the familiar voice that I'm hearing. I'm afraid of what I might see when I turn my face around. Oh my. What a handsome man you are. Are you here to pick a flower for your wife? I heard Inning Mercy talking to the man behind me. I'm still not making any move. No, ma'am. I'm here to talk to my ex-wife, he answered. Ex-wife? I think you got the wrong place, Inning Mercy told him. I'm not, ma'am. Right, Margaret. I closed my eyes for a while and took a deep breath before turning my head. I almost gasped for air when I finally saw his handsome face. His face didn't even change a bit. His thick, perfectly shaped eyebrows and dark green eyes can still set my body on fire. Flashes of memories come rushing down my mind. How he touches me in every part of my body, and how his kisses trail down to every inch of my being. Stop the nonsense, Gary. Get a grip. What are you doing here? I coldly asked him when I finally faced him. We need to talk, he said coldly. I think we have nothing to talk about. You may take your leave. I rolled my eyes at him and tried to walk past him when he suddenly grabbed his arm. What's happening here? Inning Mercy asked with a wrinkle in her forehead. I'll take care of this, Inning. Don't worry, I assured her before grabbing Lucas' hand and dragging him to the corner, away from the questioning eyes of Inning Mercy and other staff. What the fuck are you doing here? I snapped at him when we finally reached the corner of the shop. Meters away from them. I need you to go back to my house, he said without even blinking. Are you fucking kidding me? Yeah? And I will gladly obey you just because you said so. I sarcastically said, right. He proudly answered, and here I thought you're the smartest man I ever met. I gave him a fake smile. I saw how his face started to get dark. I know he's not used to not getting what he wanted. I maintained my fake smile to agitate him even more. Stop that, or I will reap that fake smile out of your face, he said while gritting his teeth. I just rolled my eyes at him and removed my fake smile. I think we're done talking. You can leave now, I told him, maintaining my straight face. I don't think you fully understand what I came here for, he coldly said before grabbing my hand and started pulling me towards his car. I tried to snatch back my arms from his grip, but he's too strong for me. Where are you taking me? I shouted at him. Somewhere private, he blandly said. I don't want to go with you, I shouted back at him while I tried to remove my arms from his grip. We are close to his car when Alberto and Ray started to come in between. I think the woman clearly says she doesn't want to come with you, Alberto said. I don't think I need to explain to any one of you, he arrogantly said. He then continues to walk towards his car while he is still holding my arm. We won't let you take her away. We're not even sure if Gary really knows you or if you are what you are claiming to be, Ray insisted. Gary is my wife, and this is a family matter. I'm not your wife, I said, still trying to put a distance between us. Oh really? He let go of my arms for a while to pick up something from his pocket. I used that moment to get away from him. I quickly hide behind Alberto and Ray, hoping that they can protect me from Lucas. I don't know what suddenly got to him and why he wants to talk to me. He didn't even bother to call or text me after the divorce. And now, he will come to me and announce saying that I need to go back to his house. Never. He finally got what he was looking for in his pocket. He fetched a little piece of paper from his wallet and showed it to Alberto and Ray. My eyes widened when I saw what it was. It was a wallet-size picture of our wedding photo. Why does he even have our wedding in his wallet? Are we okay now? Can I talk to Gary now? He calmly said. Alberto and Ray looked at each other for a while, contemplating what to do next. They both gave a quick glance towards me before looking at Lucas. You may be her husband, but Gary said she doesn't want to come with you, then positioned themselves as if they're ready to fight. Lucas is clearly losing his patience and is now frustrated by the situation. I'm quite glad that these two men are ready to fight for me. I looked at Lucas, and he's staring directly at me before saying something. You really want to do this, Gary, he warned. He then started to remove his suit and loosen his tie. Oh, crap. Lucas is a black belter in karate. Alberto and Ray are no match for him. I'm coming with you, I screamed after jumping in the middle of them. The two men confusedly looked at him, having no idea of what's about to happen. I shifted my gaze at him, and I rolled my eyes at him when I saw him smirking. Are you sure, Gary? Inning Mercy worriedly asked. Yes, Inning. Don't worry about me. I'll explain later when I get back. I gave her a quick hug before walking towards Lucas' car. He abruptly opened the door and slammed it after I got in. Lucas bids his goodbye to Inning before walking around the car, going to the driver's seat, and getting in. Chapter 2 Gary. The nerve of this guy to ask for a kiss. I didn't mind his word, but instead, I looked out at the window and tried to ignore his presence. What a way to greet your husband. Huh, he said while I continue looking out at the window of the car. I don't know where we are going and he's still not telling me either. Lucas, ex-husband, I corrected him. All right. Ex-husband it is, he teasingly answered. I don't know what's with him and why he's acting like this all of the sudden. Where are we going? I asked him, completely ignoring his last word. I'm staying at a small hotel nearby. That's the most decent hotel I can find around here, he said. Why are we going to your hotel? I know a decent coffee shop in the next town. We can stop there and talk. I don't see any good reason why we need to go to his hotel. We may divorce, but he's still a man, and I don't trust him. Neither myself. 3 years have passed and my feelings for him doesn't even change for a bit. My body still jumps at the single touch of his hand, and my heart still trembles at the sound of soft and baritone voice. Why, are you afraid of me? He teasingly asked while not even trying to hide the smirk on his face. Why would I? I just don't think that it would be appropriate for us to stay in a hotel just to talk, I defended. I need to attend an important conference. My laptop is in the hotel. Don't worry about it. I won't do anything against your will. I saw him smirked when I peeked over the rearview mirror. Our eyes met, and it surely sent shivers down to my spine, and my heart almost jumped off my ribcage. I quickly shifted my gaze back to the window and never tried to look his way again. Few minutes later, we finally arrived at the only decent hotel around the area. It was located at the town proper, 30 minutes away from where I was staying. I didn't wait for him to open the door for me like he always did when we are still together. I'm not expecting anything from him. He grabbed my hand while leading the way inside the hotel. I'm not comfortable with the hotel staff staring at me like I did something horrible. I tried to snatch back my hand from him, but the more I resisted, the more he'd tighten his grip. When I didn't succeed in removing my hand from his grip, I just bowed my head and tried to hide it so no one would recognize me. What are you doing? He asked while frowning when we finally stopped in front of the elevator. Stop talking and start walking, will you? I need to get this over with before anyone sees me. Gossips in this town spreads like a wildfire. I don't want people talking about me, I told him while I'm still trying to bow down my head as low as possible. You don't have to worry about that. You might not be staying here any longer, he said while shrugging his shoulder. What are you talking about? I asked, surprised by what he was saying. I was about to bombard him with another question when the elevator finally arrived, and he suddenly pulled me inside. He didn't bother answering me and just continued to ignore me. Lucas, I'm asking you. Patience, Hon. Patience, he said after cutting me off. Patience, your face. I told him, then abruptly pulled my hand from him, which took him by surprise. That's why I easily took back my hand from his grip. I rolled my eyes at him when I saw him smirking, Moment of silence wraps the whole elevator, and that's the most agonizing minutes of my entire life. Being confined in a small space with him doesn't do me any good. He led the way to the rightmost part of the hallway where his room was supposedly located. He took out his key from his pocket and opened the door wide before letting me in first. He even gestured a courtesy for me that just earned an eye rolling from me. "Nana Grace is coming back to Manila," he started. I quickly turned my face at him with a wrinkle on my forehead. "And what does it have to do with me? She still doesn't know that we already got divorced," he explained. "Nana Grace is Lucas' grandmother. She's our witness when we got married in the UK, where she's currently staying. She's a self-proclaimed Lucas Gary shipper. She's rooted for us since the beginning. It has been 3 years, Lucas, and you haven't even had the time to tell her." I was busy, and it completely lost my mind to inform her about us. "You're busy with what? Your mistress?" I sarcastically told him. "What? You still haven't gotten past that," he said, and started to get annoyed. "Yeah, he's right. There's no use in bringing back the past. Well, to make the story short, she's not doing well. That's why she's coming back here in the Philippines," he continued. "What? What happened to Nana?" I was surprised with the news about Nana Grace. "She's old and she wants to spend the rest of her life here in the Philippines, and she's expecting to see you. I can't afford to tell her now about what happened to us. It will break her heart. You know how much she loved us being together." He's right. Nana Grace will definitely get sad when she finds out that her favorite love team is now divorced. "I need to discuss with you the other details, but I need to attend a conference call. After that I'll be with you shortly. Make yourself at home," he said before walking towards the cabinet and took out his laptop. He assembled all his things in the small table that was placed across the room near the bed. This is not the typical kind of room Lucas would like to stay, but I guessed he doesn't really have much of a choice. Igig is a small town of Cagayan, way far from the modern and sophisticated infrastructure of Manila. There's a queen-size bed in the middle of the room, and it has a small bedside table with a lamp. There's also a small couch on the left side of the room that was facing against the wall where the 24-inch television was located. There's also a small personal refrigerator inside the room. I heard him start talking. At first, I thought he was talking to me, but when I looked at him, he is now focused on his laptop. The conference that he was referring about has started now. I look around the room to look for something to do while passing the time and waiting for Lucas. I decided to open the mini refrigerator and raid it. I saw a couple of beers and a can and some soft drinks. There's also chips inside. I took the beer and the chips and slumped against the couch. I started scrolling on my phone while drinking the can of beer in my hand. Chapter 3, Gary. I was woken up by a hand caressing my cheek. I didn't realize that I had fallen asleep on the couch while drinking my beer. I suddenly remember where I was and who am I with. I'm at a small hotel Lucas rented for a night. He's here to talk to me about moving back to his house because of Nana Grace. I don't know if I should open my eyes or just pretend to be sleeping, but how can I do that when his touch sends turmoil to my being? My body still reacts to him like it was yesterday. I don't know, what should I do? I'm torn between waking up and face him or pretends to be asleep and enjoy the soothing feeling of his hand against my cheek. "Wake up. Sleep ahead," I heard him say when he finally stopped touching my cheek. I slowly open my eyes, and the first thing that greets me is his dark, brooding green eyes that reaches to the depth of my soul. I remember how I was so mesmerized the first time I got the chance to stare directly into his eyes. He greeted me with a sweet smile showing his perfectly white teeth. I cleared my throat before finally speaking. "Hey, are you done?" I asked him while trying to avoid his gaze. It's still awkward since I am in between both of his hands that are now leaning on the couch, and our faces just inches away from each other. I tried to put a distance between us without making it awkward. "Yes, I'm done," he said. I can smell his minty breath, and I wanted to grab his nape and pull him towards me so I can finally claim and taste that luscious lips again. "What am I thinking?" I whispered to myself. "Thinking what?" he asked with a wrinkle in his forehead. Did I just say that out loud? Fuck, thinking about, fuck. I'm lost for words. "Think, Gary, quick." "I'm thinking," I stuttered. "Why are you blushing? Did I caught you off guard? Are you daydreaming about me, my sweet ex-wife?" He teased me. I wanted to wipe that smirk out of his face. Of course not. "You wish I denied it." I used all my strength to push him out of my sight, and quickly stood up and finally put a distance between us. "I can't believe that I'm thinking about kissing my ex-husband. He hurt you, Gary. He cheated on you. Stop fantasizing about him." I keep reminding myself of the reason why we ended up in this situation today. "Since you're done with your meeting, can we now start talking? I need to go back home now." I started. Nana Grace will be arriving next week. I need you to come with me to Manila now. I won't be available on the following days. I have a lot of hearings this week, he said. I didn't hear anything about you asking for my help, it's more like you ordering me, I told him while raising my eyebrow. He's staring me with an intense gaze. I know he doesn't like what I'm saying, I can clearly see it in his face. He's not used to being opposed. Didn't you hear me the first time? I told you Nana Grace is coming back in Manila and she's not doing well. He said irritably. I heard you. But I don't see that to be my problem. You're the one who forgot to tell her about our divorce. I can see her if you want to, but I don't think we need to pretend in front of her. She already suffered a heart attack a couple of times back in the UK. I don't want to take chances. His dark face changes and becomes soft. I remember how Lucas was very fond of his grandmother. I also cared about Nana, and I don't want to be the reason for her suffering. She's the only person in my whole marriage life who thinks and cares about what I want and what will make me happy. We're just going to pretend in front of her while she's at my house, he said. Until she's here. He plainly answered without giving any details, and that's until when? I reiterated my question to him. I need to know how long will be I staying with him. Being with him just reminds me of the saddest part of my life. I don't want to visit that memory for too long. I actually don't know. Nana Grace didn't tell me how long will she be staying here. He answered. I already have a life here, Lucas. You can't expect me to drop everything just because you asked me to. Don't get me wrong. I love Nana Grace and I would never try anything that will hurt her, but we can't pretend forever. I explained to him. I think the news of Nana Grace not doing well put a toll on him. He's not the kind of person who goes into something without a concrete plan. I think this decision of him is impulsive and out of the blue. Did you really think this through, Lucas? I asked him. He took a deep breath before he slowly sits on the couch where I was sleeping a while ago. He slumped his back on the couch. He closed his eyes and leaned his head towards the backrest while massaging his temple. Now that I can freely look at him, I can see how tired he is. Unlike what I first thought when I see him, I can clearly see now that he quite aged a bit. He looked overworked. You're right, I'm sorry. I haven't really thought this through. It was rude of me of just involve you in my personal problem, he said while his eyes are still closed, and continued massaging his temple. I need to know every single thing about your plan before I decide if I want to help you or not. I calmly said. I don't know, but I felt some pity towards him. I know how much he loves his grandmother and I'm sure that this is not easy for him. I don't want to shock Nana with the news of our divorce. I'm planning on taking care of her health while she's here. I'll have Magnus personally take care of her while she's here. When she recovers, I'll tell her about our divorce, he explained. How many months? I asked him. I don't like the idea of living with him again, but Nana Grace is also close to my heart, and I don't want to be the reason why she's going to be ill. What? That's too long? Let's say 3 months. I insisted. Why are you afraid to be with me in one roof? Don't tell me you still have feelings for me. He teased me. In your dreams, Lucas. I just don't think I can live with you that long. I'm giving you 3 months to tell Nana about our divorce, I firmly told him. Don't worry. I don't think I could also live with you that long, he said upon raising his head from the couch and looking me directly in the eye. I shouldn't be feeling disappointed with his statement, but I can't help it. It's already clear since the beginning that none of us wanted this to happen, but we both care about Nana Grace's health, that's why I'm considering what he's offering. I brushed off the sudden pang in my heart because of what he said and tried to focus my attention on what would be our setup. How do you propose our setup would be? I curiously asked him. As I said, we'll be pretending to be a happily married couple in front of Nana, but other than that we wouldn't meddle in anyone's business. He started. I want to set some limitations. I told him, go on, I'm all ears. He said, then lean forward and lay his elbow on top of his legs. I walked towards the single couch that was beside the long couch where he was sitting. I'd like to maintain my distance with him. I'm fine with us pretending in front of Nana Grace, but I want to put limitations. First, of course, no kissing. Second, he cut me off before I even finished my sentence. What are we, teenagers, Gary? Where can you see a married couple who don't kiss? He said with a smirk on his face. I rolled my eyes at him. As much as it pains me, he has a point. Okay, fine. I'll allow a kiss on the cheeks, but that's it, I told him. He just raised his eyebrow at me. I didn't notice that I'm actually holding my breath with the anticipation of what he's going to say. Gary, it's just a kiss. Don't make it too much of a big deal. Just think about it as a play, and we're the leads, he calmly said before leaning his back to the couch and spreading both of his arms to the backrest. I nervously tap my foot on the floor while thinking about it. The thought of his lips touching mine makes me nervous and excited at the same time. I closed my eyes and took a deep breath before agreeing with him. There's no use in arguing with him because he has a point. It will just make us look awkward if we don't act like the way we used to do. I remember when we were still in the UK. We can't get our hands off with each other. Fine, I give up. There's no use in arguing with him. I want to know what will be our sleeping arrangements. Obviously, we can't sleep in the same bed. Why not? He teasingly said to me, which makes my blood boil. Are you toying with me, Lucas? I snapped at him. He's obviously enjoying this torture. I'm not. You are just making a big deal out of this. Just act like how we used to be. Don't put too much meaning on it. We need to sleep in one room. Nana Grace will wonder why we're not sharing a room. Besides, my bed is huge enough for 4 people, he explained. What's up with him? It's as if he's okay with the setup, and it doesn't bother him that we need to ask as if we're still together. Didn't he think about what his girlfriend would feel like? Of course. How can I forget that small detail? I need to clear this up. I don't want any woman accused me of anything. And what's your girlfriend take on this? I don't want to ask him directly if he has a girlfriend or not. I don't want to give him the notion that I'm interested in his personal life. She understands it. You don't need to worry about that, he said. I suddenly felt a pang of jealousy. I was actually hoping that he would say that he doesn't have a girlfriend, but what do I expect? He's a chick magnet even before. That's good. At least I don't have to worry about someone attacking me while I'm pretending to be your wife, I said, hiding the feeling of disappointment that I'm having right now. Will you stop that? He shouted at me. I was taken aback by his sudden outburst. Stop what? I answered him with the same intensity. I don't know what's got him, and why is he suddenly shouting at me? Stop acting like pretending to be my wife again is the worst thing that could ever happen to you, he said with his dark face. Because it is. I can't help but answer. We both fell into deep silence. He stood up and walks out the door, leaving me behind. I can't understand what I'm feeling right now. It seems like I hurt him with what I said, but what does he expect me to say? The hurtful memories of our failed marriage still linger in my mind like it was yesterday. The last thing that I want to be right now is back into his arms again. The memories of him kissing that woman still haunt me every day. It always makes me think about what I did wrong and what's lacking on me. The feeling of not being enough for someone you love the most is the worst feeling ever. I was thinking if I should just leave or should I wait for him here and finish what we need to talk about. Chapter 4, Gary. I felt someone lift me in the air. I can smell the familiar cologne and a mixture of whiskey and cigarettes. So, he's back in smoking again. I used to tell him to quit smoking when we are still together. It took him a while, but he eventually gave in and finally quit smoking. Though I don't like the smell of cigarettes on him. I like the feeling of his arms around me. I don't want to open my eyes. I already have an idea who's the one carrying me. Instead of opening my eyes, I buried my face into his neck so I can smell him even more. I was enjoying my position when finally put me down to bed. I want to sleep beside him tonight. I missed him, but I keep on pretending to be asleep so I won't need to explain to him why do I want to sleep with him tonight. I wanted to protest when I felt him removing my arms that were wrapped around his neck so he can completely lay me down on the bed. I thought he was going to leave and rent another room since he let me lay down here, but I never heard the door opened, indicating that he didn't go out. Few seconds later, I heard the sound of the door opening. I felt a sudden feeling of disappointment thinking that he can't even be with me in the same room, but all of that vanished when I heard the gushing water coming from the shower. I'm so tempted to open my eyes and take a peek, but I was afraid that I would be caught and make me leave. I don't know why do I like to stay with him tonight. I didn't want to admit, but I missed him. I missed the feeling of being with him, feeling the warmth of his embrace and softness of his lips against my temple. That's our usual sleeping position. Lucas doesn't want us to sleep away from each other no matter how big our bed is. My heart almost jumps out of my rib cage when I heard the bathroom door open. I can smell the scent of his favorite body wash that he always brought wherever he goes. No matter how expensive the hotel is, he doesn't want to use their body wash. I'm trying to hold my breath so I won't make any sounds. What should I do? Should I wake up or not? My head is in turmoil. Lucas walking around the room wearing his manly scent doesn't help. I'm trying to keep my calm so I won't make any movement or sound. I felt the other side of the bed sank. It was followed by the familiar of his body wash. You can breathe now, I heard him say. I quickly open my eyes and get up. I look at him and squinted my eyes. I don't really know why I'm pissed at him, but it was more like, I'm pissed with myself for wanting to be with him tonight while I keep on insisting that I want nothing to do with him. He just chuckled. He lay on his side and put his hand to support his head. What? He said in between his laugh. You knew and you didn't even say anything. I snapped at him before getting the pillow and smashed it on his face. He just continued laughing while I keep on hitting him with the pillow. He tried to ward off every beat I gave him, but I won't let him stand a chance. You're trying your best not to make a move. You almost look like a twig, he said while continuously laughing. I was out of breath when I finally decided to stop hitting him. I stared at him and squinted my eyes. I hate you, I said before throwing the pillow at him. I didn't notice that I'm actually smiling the whole time. I can't remember when was the last time that I smiled genuinely. He's the only one who can be brought out the genuine smile out of me. We both know you don't mean that, he said. I can almost hear the seriousness in his voice. I suddenly felt uncomfortable in our situation. I almost forgot what kind of situation we were into. I quickly got up on my feet and tried to look formal again. I felt awkward with the kind of look he's giving me. I suddenly felt like I want to vanish right there and there. I cleared my throat before speaking. I need to go home now, I told him so I can change the topic. It's late now. You can spend the night here. I'll bring you home tomorrow first thing in the morning, he said with his serious face, away from his cheerful face a while ago. I need to go home now, I insist. Why, are you meeting with the Arnaldo guy? He sounded jealous. What? Of course not. I'm just worrying about Inning Mercy. She would definitely look for me if I won't get home tonight, I explained to him. I don't want to get the wrong idea that I already have someone. Just call her, he calmly said. My phone doesn't have a load. I almost whispered. I heard him let out a loud sigh before he gets up on his bed and reach for the drawer to get his phone from there and walks towards me and handing me his phone. I gulped when I saw his shirtless body. He's wearing nothing but a boxer. My eyes widened when I saw the large bulge in between his pants. Staring is rude, Gary. He caught my attention while waving his phone in front of me. I'm not, I stuttered before grabbing the phone from his hand. I turned my face around so I won't be seeing his delectable body. Shame on you, Gary. Stop fantasizing about your ex-husband. I quickly copied Inning Mercy's number from my phone and started dialing it. After a while, Inning Mercy finally answered the phone. It took a while before I can finally calm her down. I explained to her about the situation and that I'm fine. She wanted to let someone fetch me if I want to, but I refused. I just assure her that I'm fine and that I will be going home first thing in the morning. When she finally agreed, I bid my goodbye and turn off the call. I took a deep breath before turning around and faced Lucas. You shouldn't be wearing that when other person is sharing a room with you, I told him while crossing my head in front of my chest. I even raised my eyebrows so he can see how pissed I am. You know I can't sleep with clothes on. Of all people, you should be one who knows how I actually sleep at night, he smirked. Yes, I remember how he likes to sleep naked. He's actually being considerate now for wearing boxers. I let out a loud sigh. Okay, fine. Just don't walk around naked while I am here, will you? He's obviously enjoying this. He's having pleasure torturing me. Where should I sleep? I asked him. Here, he said while tapping the side next to him. Not gonna happen, I refused. Why? You don't seem to have any problem pretending to be asleep beside me moments ago, he teased me. I'm not pretending. I'm really asleep, I insisted. I would never admit to him that I'm actually pretending moments ago so I could freely sleep beside him. That was just a moment of weakness. Oh really? Then maybe you're just dreaming when you sniff and buried your face on my neck when I carry you to bed. He's now back on his feet and walking slowly towards me. Every step he makes towards me makes my heart beats louder. I can see his muscular body slowly taking every space between us. I tried to run away from him, but he immediately grabbed my arms and imprisoned me around his arms. Why would I want to smell you? The scents of whiskey and cigarettes on your body disgust me, I told him, denying his allegations. Really? How did you know? He looked at me with doubts. I can smell it from here, I said, still trying to conceal what I did a while ago. Is that so? I already took a bath, Gary. Well, you still stink. Maybe you should change your body wash. We both know why I love this body wash, right, Gary? He said while smiling, clearly enjoying the awkwardness that I am feeling right now. I used to complain about the smell of cigarettes and alcohol in his body when we're still together. He looks for the most expensive body wash that will wash away every unwanted scent on your body. It's too late when I realized that I already gave away myself. I stuttered. I don't know how to get out of this. You're saying something, Gary, he teasingly said. Fine what, Gary? He continued, prompting me on admitting my little escapade. His arms are still wrapped around me, and I'm starting to get uncomfortable on how our skins touch. The warmth of his body sends thousands of emotions throughout my body. I just look away and tried not to speak again. The words that are coming out of my mouth don't do me any good. I missed you, I heard him whispered. I shifted my gaze back at him and looked him directly in the eye. I can see loneliness in his eyes. I closed my eyes when he started caressing my cheeks. I leaned my face towards his hands so I can fully feel the warmth of his touch. When I decided to open my eyes, I gasped when I was greeted by his handsome face. Our faces are now inches away from each other. I don't know what got into me, but I suddenly felt the urge to kiss him. I didn't protest when I felt his hand on my cheek went down to my nape and grab it, then immediately claimed my lips. I welcome his mouth into mine, All the emotions that were built inside me all these years suddenly burst out. I never wanted to leave him, but he doesn't give me any choice. I missed his kisses. I missed his touch and every part of him. A part of me wants him back, but the other part is afraid of what might happen. His other hand went down to my waist and grabbed it so he can press his body more into mine. I moaned when I felt his tongue went inside my mouth. He then slowly took a step, leisurely guiding me towards the bed. I willingly followed his every move. The next thing I knew, I felt the soft bed against my back. He's still torridly kissing me. His hands are now starting to roam around my body. I felt his other hand slowly traveling to my breast. I moaned in pleasure when I felt his hand squeeze my right breast. His lips are now starting to travel down to my neck. I was enjoying the warmth of his kisses against my skin when his phone that was still in my hand rings. I was planning to ignore it and put it on the bedside table, but I remember that it might be an important call since it was already past midnight. Lucas. I called him, but instead of answering he just put his lips into mine to shut me up. I tried to move away from his kisses and tried to get his attention again. Lucas, pick up your phone. It might be important, I told him again, while trying to push him away from me. Just turn it off, he said, ignoring it, and continued kissing the valley of my breast. I peeked on his screen to check his phone when I saw the name of the caller. It feels like cold water was poured onto me when I saw the name of the caller. It was Sandy, I dully said. He was stunned when he heard me say her name. He lifts his head and looks me directly in the eye, but I can't stand looking at him. That's why I immediately shift my gaze on the other side. I gave him his phone and abruptly pushed his body that was on top of me. I quickly stood up and sit on the side of the bed. I heard him took a deep breath before picking up the call. I don't want to hear what are they going to talk about, that's why I decided to go to the bathroom. I briskly closed the door when I finally get inside. Streams of tears started to flow down my cheeks the moment I locked the bathroom door. I tried my best not to make any sound. I don't want him to know that I'm still hurting. Moments later when I heard a knock on the door. Gary, are you okay? I heard him ask. I quickly wiped the tears on my cheeks and checked myself in the mirror to remove all the traces of my tears. I abruptly opened the door and told him why wouldn't I be. Then walking past at him, I walked towards the bed and get a pillow and a blanket before settling myself on the couch. I lay down on the couch without even looking at him. I am facing the backrest of the couch so I won't have to look at him, but I can sense his presence beside me. I heard a loud sigh. The bed is huge, Gary. You can sleep there. You don't have to sleep in here, he insisted. I ignored him and just pulled the blanket up to my neck. Put me down, I screamed when I suddenly felt his strong arms around me and carrying me towards the bed. He tossed me in the bed, which angers me even more. I tried to stand up, but he just pushed down to bed. Stop being stubborn and sleep on the bed, he said. I'll just take the couch if you really don't want to sleep beside me, he said, feeling defeated. I just rolled my eyes at him and slumped myself to bed and faced the other side away from him. I was quite disappointed that he didn't even try to explain. Are you going to listen? If he tried to explain himself, I heard my inner self saying, probably not. I wouldn't believe in any words that will come out in his mouth. Never again. I shut my eyes hard and forced myself to sleep. I didn't know what time it is when I finally doze off to sleep. Chapter 5, Gary. I was woken up by the sound of the loud banging of the keyboards. I slowly opened my eyes to see what's going on. I lift my head and lean both of my elbows on the bed to support my body before I turn my face to where the sound is coming from. I saw Lucas sitting on the couch in front of his laptop. He keeps on smashing the keyboard so that it creates a sound loud enough to wake me up from my sleep. He lifted his gaze from the monitor, then looked at my direction. I almost burst into laughter when I saw him frowning while looking at me. From the look of it, I think he didn't get any sleep last night. Why wouldn't he be? He's not used to sleeping on the couch. I reached for my phone that was over the bedside table and looked at the time. It was only 7 o'clock in the morning. Good morning, I teased him. He's obviously in the bad mood. I suppressed my smile so he wouldn't notice that I'm enjoying his discomfort. I forgot what happened last night for a while. I decided not to be affected by that. We're not together anymore. He can be with anyone he wanted to be. Don't start with me. Gary, he said, still frowning while looking at me. What did I do? I innocently asked him. You know what you did, Gary, he grumpily said. I'm not the one who insists that I should take the bed. Remember, I teased him even more. I bite my lips to suppress my laugh when I saw the dark circles under his eyes. He clearly didn't sleep a wink last night. There's a pack of cigarettes beside him, but I don't see any ashtrays or cigarettes butts around him. He saw me looking at his cigarettes. That's why he quickly got it and put it in his jacket that was over the single couch beside him. Get up. Let's have some breakfast downstairs before I bring you home, he said. Why don't we just grab some breakfast along the way? I asked him. Can't wait to ditch me, he said. He's clearly annoyed by what I suggested. It's nothing like that. Okay, I'm thinking that maybe you're busy, and we can save more time if we just grab food along the way, I explained. I don't want to be more inconvenience to you. Besides, you don't have to bring me home. I could just take a jeep or bus from here, I insisted. We haven't settled everything about our setup, so we need to finish everything today before I bring you home so you can get your things, he said ruggedly. Wait, no one says about leaving today. I was confused. I already told you that I have a lot of things to do and that I need to go back to Manila as soon as possible. No one asked you to wait for me. I'm also starting to get annoyed. I don't like him bossing me around like he used to. Gary, will you please stop being stubborn and do what I asked you to do? He can't help himself but shout because of frustration, like what I did when we were still together. No, thanks, I scowled at him. I would rather stay here in the province than going back to the way I was before now. If you don't want to stay here for a couple of days, it's up to you, but I will be the one to decide when I'm going to leave this place. I was out of breath when I finally finished talking. He was dumbfounded by my sudden outburst. I know he's not expecting to hear that from me, but his constant arrogance and bossiness reminds me of how I lived my life when we were still together. I just need to make sure that you will be coming with me. Nana Grace will arrive next week, and I need to settle all my schedules before that because she requested our presence for the whole week. I need to finish all my work before she arrives, he calmly explained. I will go with you, okay? I just need time to settle my things here and I need to let Inning Mercy know about it, I said before letting out a loud sigh. Those people have been nothing but good to me. I can't just leave them without explaining everything. Besides, I still have a lot of pending pots to make. I need to finish that before I leave, I explained. So, you make pots? Didn't know you have a talent in pottery. His wry face is now gone and was replaced with a proud face. I suddenly felt awkward. I'm not used to him praising me. Of course he didn't know. He didn't even pay attention to my likings when I was his wife. I'm going to take a shower now, I said, trying to avoid the topic. I walked briskly to the bathroom, and immediately locked it the moment I entered the door. I don't know why I suddenly felt nervous with his praise and his gaze. He brought back the unwanted memories by simply complimenting me. I let myself catch my breath for a while before taking a shower. I was about to take off my clothes when I suddenly remembered that I have nothing to wear. I don't have any plans on spending the night here, so I didn't bring anything with me. I decided to wash my face instead, and brush my teeth using the toothbrush that the hotel provided for the room. I checked myself in the mirror one last time before heading out of the bathroom. I walked past him and walked directly towards the table where my bag is. I thought you're going to take a shower, he asked. Me? I didn't bring any clothes with me. I'll just take a shower when I get home, I answered without even looking at his direction. Look at the cabinet. There are some clothes for you there. Get it and take a shower, he said without even lifting his head from his computer. I looked at him with a frown. I was wondering if I heard him right. I walked towards the only cabinet that was in there and slowly opened it. There were a couple of clothes on top of the drawer divider that was neatly folded. I picked it up and checked it. There's a pair of underwear, a shirt, and jeans. I looked at him confusedly before speaking. Where and when did you get it? I curiously asked him. I had someone buy it. Stop asking too many questions and just take a shower. We'll be leaving in an hour. We're going to grab some food along the way like you said, he said, dismissing the topic. I was planning to ask more questions, but I decided to zip my mouth when I saw him glaring at me. Okay, fine, I said to myself, then I rolled my eyes at him. I brought the clothes inside the bathroom. I don't have any plans on displaying myself in front of my ex-husband. After an hour, we left the hotel and headed our way back home. We stopped at a small cafeteria to have our breakfast. It wasn't as luxurious as what he used to go to eat, but it was the most decent cafe around the area. I ordered a chicxulog, derived from the word chicken, sinangag, and itlog. It's a combination of fried chicken, fried rice, and egg. On the other hand, Lucas ordered tapsilog. It's a combination of fried tapa, a cured beef meat similar to beef jerky, fried rice, and egg. Those are popular breakfast meals in the Philippines. He ordered 2 brewed coffee. He didn't even bother asking me what type of coffee I want, but I guess he knows that I like black coffee. We started eating when he suddenly opened up the topic of our supposed setup when we go back to his house. As I said, I won't be sharing a room with you, I insisted. How can I explain to Nana why we are not sharing a bed? He asked me. Well, it's your idea, you should be the one to think about it, I said, shrugging my shoulder. Fine, I'll see what I can do. You can stay in my room. In that way at least Nana will still think that we are staying in the same room. I'll just sleep in my office, he said. That will do. I was satisfied with his proposition. We continued eating together, silently. He keeps on checking his phone while eating like he always did. I always hate it when he keeps on thinking about his job while eating. Your empire won't collapse if you leave it for 30 minutes, you know. I uttered without looking at him. I can feel his gaze towards me as if he can't believe what's coming out of my mouth. I tried to ignore it, but he didn't stop staring at me. I decided to lift my head and look at him. What did you say? He asked as if he was making sure if he heard me right. I said, stop looking at your phone and eat properly. Your company won't lose money if you let it be for just 30 minutes to eat, I bravely told him. I always dreamed of saying this to his face the last time that we are still together, but I'm afraid that I might agitate him and won't like to hear my opinion. But now, I don't really care about what he thinks of me. These past 3 years I learned that you won't gain anything if you don't speak for yourself. He tried to open his mouth and was about to say something, but he decided not to. He let out a loud sigh before placing his phone back in his pocket, and continued eating without interruption. I somehow felt victory with that conversation. There were a few moments that I would catch him giving me a glimpse, but quickly shifted his gaze whenever I tried to look at him. How's the food? I asked him, trying to make a conversation with him. I just realized that this is our first decent meal after the divorce. It's surprisingly good, he said while nodding his head. See, you can appreciate the food when you are paying even more attention to it. Yeah? I thought so too, he said while looking directly at him. I can sense something in his gaze. I suddenly felt uncomfortable. His intense gaze is sending thousands of volts throughout my body. I felt like we're the only people in that area, and that the world belongs to us. I can't help but go back to the memories of how happy we were before. How we enjoyed a simple breakfast without thinking of anybody other than us. How we consistently tell each other how we love one another and how we are looking forward to spending the rest of our lives together. I felt a sudden pain in my heart whenever I think about all those things, and how hurtful the experience was. I hate it that he could do so much with me by just giving me an intense gaze. That's how he always affects me. I was unable to cope with his gaze, that's why I decided to nod my head down, and look at my plate, then continue eating my food. I heard him let out a loud sigh before grabbing his utensils, and continuing eating his food. How have you been? I heard him asked. I'm fine. I'm doing good with Inning Mercy's shop. I learned a lot from her, I answered without lifting my head. I remained my gaze on my plate to avoid looking at his mesmerizing eyes. I see. Are you happy? He asked. I was stunned for a moment. I suddenly forgot how to answer his question. Chapter 6, Gary. Time runs so fast. The next thing I knew, I was here at the airport waiting for Nana Grace to arrive. She insisted that both of us should be the one to pick her up at the airport. After we settled everything in Cagayan, Lucas and I immediately went back to Manila together. He didn't leave until I'm with him. He stayed in the hotel for a couple of days while I'm bidding my goodbyes to the people in the shop. I also finished all my pending works before leaving. Inning Mercy is hesitant to let me leave at first, but she eventually understands the situation and lets me go with Lucas. Stop frowning. It doesn't suit you, I heard him say while we're standing in the arrival section waiting for Nana Grace. I glared at him for a while before rolling my eyes at him. Mind your own business, I snapped at him. You're so grumpy. Woke up at the wrong side of the bed, he chuckles while teasing me. I didn't bother to banter with him. I don't want to be agitated when Nana Grace arrived. I want to welcome her with the warmest greet I could offer, but I couldn't do that if I let Lucas get on my nerves. It didn't take long until Nana Grace finally arrived. Oh my two favorite people in the world. She both greeted us with a warm hug. I frown when I notice that she's walking briskly while pulling both of us in our hands. According to her, she can't wait to go home and lay on the bed. Your health seems to be doing well, Nana, I told her. As if on cue, she put her hand on her head and acted as if she was dizzy. Oh, now that you remind me, I think my chest is aching, she uttered. Your chest is aching but you're holding your head, Lucas commented. She quickly places her hand that was on her head to her chest. Are you faking your illness, Nana? Irritation is obvious in his voice. You can't blame me. You didn't even bother to visit me in London. You were too busy with your work, she said while crossing her arms in front of her chest. Looking away from Lucas, you didn't even bother to call, she said while completely pouting her lips. I can't help but giggle watching her. No one would dare lie to the great Lucas Sebastian Hargreaves. That makes both of you, she turned, pointing her finger at me. I was surprised when she turned and glared at me. I just chuckle upon seeing her face. Stop giggling, young lady. I will never forgive both of you for neglecting your Nana, she said turning her back at us again. I even stand as your witness during your wedding, and yet both of you didn't even bother to give me a call, she said. That is not enough reason to lie about your health, Nana. Don't you know how worried I was? He told Nana. I don't believe you're worried about me. You didn't even bother to take a minute and give me a call, she insisted, But Lucas was about to say something again when I held his arm to stop him and informed him to let me take care of it. I shake my head at him to tell him to stop. Let me handle this, which he agreed on by nodding his head. I hugged Nana Grace from the back with warmth and tenderness. I'm sorry for not visiting and calling you Nana. Lucas has been very busy with the firm since Dad retired, but I promise to make it up to you while you're here, I told her. She turned around and faced me with a suppressed smile. That's a promise. She acts childish sometimes. She was already smiling by that time, but her face turns into a frown as she faces Lucas. You see, grandson, that's how you coax your grandmother, not by shouting at me. You insolent child, she said while trying to hit Lucas. You should learn from your wife, she said while continuing to strike him. Lucas keeps on ducking to avoid Nana Grace's assault. I still feel strange to hear Nana Grace refer to me as Lucas' wife. I'm not his wife anymore. We were only here to pretend, nothing more, nothing less. It took us half an hour before we finally arrived at Lucas' house. We were greeted by the maids and the guard as expected, but I was not expecting a familiar face inside the house. The woman was sitting on the couch while sipping her tea. She quickly stood up and greeted us when we entered the living room. Welcome back, Nana Grace. She ecstatically greeted Nana Grace. Nana is somehow taken aback by her greetings. Do I know you, young lady? Nana Grace confusedly said. I am Sandy, Lucas' colleague. I heard about your arrival today. That's why I decided to offer you a welcome gift, she said while smiling from ear to ear. I almost want to puke seeing her face. She even had the gut to show her face in front of me. I want to reap those fake smiles out of her face. She didn't even bother greeting me. Not that I want her greeting. She even acts as if I was not there. She keeps on mumbling about her and Lucas at the office. That's nice to hear. Would you excuse me for a second? I think I exhaust myself from my trip. Nana Grace cut her off from her continued mumbling. Of course, Nana, you should rest. Would you like me to help you go to your room? Sandy offered. No need, I'll assist her, I interrupted. I can almost hear her protest, but I didn't give her any chance to do that. I started to lead Nana Grace up to her room. The maids started to bring all Nana's suitcase. I was gritting my teeth while trying to hold my temper. How dare that man to bring his mistress inside our house? This is not your house anymore. I can almost hear myself saying, that's right. I shouldn't be feeling this way. I have no right to get mad at him for bringing that woman here. He already told me that Sandy is okay with this setup, but I don't know if I can handle seeing them both here. Are you okay? I heard Nana Grace told me. I didn't notice that I was lost in my reverie. I almost forgot this kind of woman beside me. I suddenly felt guilty for not trying to reach out to her. Since we came back here in Manila after our marriage in London, I haven't tried to contact her even once. I was lost in trying to fit myself into Lucas' world, and how to be a perfect daughter-in-law to his parents. I was trying to be the perfect woman for Lucas and eventually lose myself in the process. Nana Grace is the only one who believes in me, that I'm a perfect match for Lucas. I'm okay, Nana. Why wouldn't I be? I answered, trying to hide the pain inside me. You don't have to come with me to my room. I know where my room is. I lived here for 50 years before going to London, she jokingly said. I know, Nana, but I want to spend more time with you. Didn't I tell you that I would make it up to you? I said, trying to sway our conversation. I felt guilty for not reaching out to you after the D. I immediately stopped before I even finished the word. After what? She frowned at me. After we went back here in the Philippines, I stuttered. She was looking at me intently, trying to read if I was telling the truth or not. I was holding my breath while waiting for her to finally speak. It's fine. I know you two are busy with your own life. I felt lonely abroad. That's why I decided to go back here, she finally said. I let out a sigh of relief when she didn't figure out that I was lying. But regardless of how much you missed me, you shouldn't let your husband be alone with another woman. Your husband is a very gorgeous man, and a good catch, she said while wiggling her eyebrows. You should never let your guard down, and always look after your husband, she warned me. I almost rolled my eyes at what she said. If she only knew, his grandson was already swayed. But that bitch, what are you still doing here? I heard her say. Which made me snap from my deep thought. Doing what? Nana, I was confused. Why are you still here and not with your husband? Come on, go, she said while shooing me away. I still want to spend more time with you, I said to her while pouting my lips. I was trying to be cute so she won't insist on making me leave her room. I'm not ready to face Lucas with that bitch. No, young lady. Go to your husband and snatch him back from that woman, she said. It sounds to me that she knows that Lucas and Sandy are already a thing. But I know that it's impossible. You really don't want me to stay with you even longer, I told her while trying to make puppy eyes towards her. This old lady needs to rest. And I can't do that if you're here messing around. Now, off you go, she said while trying to push me out of her room. She quickly slammed the door the moment I stepped out of her room. I have nothing left to do, that's why I decided to look for Lucas. I need to talk to him about the situation, since Nana Grace is not sick. We don't have any reason not to tell Nana about our divorce. She deserves to know the truth. I don't know if he's with that bitch Sandy, but I tried my luck and went to his room. This is the room that we used to share when we are still together, and it's the same room that I'm going to use while staying here. I don't see the need to knock since I was using this room. I abruptly opened that door and I was shocked to see Lucas sitting on the bed. Sandy is straddling in front of him while they are sucking each other's tongue. Lucas' shirt is unbuttoned and Sandy's dress is up, almost revealing her butt. They turned around at once when they heard me opening the door. All of us were shocked by my sudden interruption. Lucas quickly got up and Sandy almost fell on the ground. I cleared my throat before speaking. I need to talk to you. I'll be in your study room. Follow me when you're done, I blandly said before turning my back from them. I briskly walked towards the study room. I quickly closed the door and sat down on the couch. I slumped myself on the couch and buried my face in the pillow. I don't know why I feel frustrated. I just do. I was actually expecting him to follow me after an hour, but I was surprised when I saw him enter the room. I quickly stood up and faced him. I was trying my best not to give away any emotions. I want him to think that what I saw didn't bother me at all. This is not urgent. You can finish whatever both of you are doing. I can wait here, I told him. It's not what you think, he explained. I gritted my teeth when I heard me denying what I saw. How dare him to think that he can make a fool out of me. I know what I saw, and he doesn't need to explain. We were just. He's trying to explain it even more, but I abruptly cut him off. No need to explain. I don't want to hear it. Besides, I don't care what you do with your mistress, I told him, trying to maintain my straight face. I'm not here for you. I'm here for Nana Grace, and since she's doing fine, I don't think you further need my help. If this is about what you saw a while ago, this is not about you, Lucas. This is not about us. I'm here to help you with Nana, and I think my purpose here is done. I don't see any reason for me to stay here. I can't help but raise my voice at him. Since you're so eager to leave, why don't you go ahead and tell her yourself? I can sense that he's starting to get on his nerves. Why are you putting that responsibility on my shoulder? It should be your duty to tell her the truth, Lucas, I shouted at him. Is it too much for you to stay here a little longer? Why are you so eager to go back to that place? Do you have someone waiting for you there? He shouted back. My God, Lucas, are you hearing yourself? This is not about me. Stop running around the bush and tell Nana about our divorce. What divorce? We were interrupted by a voice coming from the door. We both turned at once in that direction. Both of our eyes widened when we saw Nana Grace standing beneath the open door. We were both stunned and unable to speak. Nana. Lucas tried to call her grandmother, but we were shocked when she suddenly fell to the floor. Chapter 7. Gary, she's okay for now. Fortunately, it wasn't a heart attack, Magnus explained, but that doesn't mean that there will be no more episodes like this in the future. She fainted due to shock and exhaustion. He continued. We're here at De La Vega Medical Center. Nana Grace faints after she barges into our room and sees us fighting. We're all standing around Nana's bed. I was on the right side, and Lucas is on the other side with Sandy. Magnus is the doctor who was a friend of Lucas. He was about to talk to Magnus before this incident happened. He wants Magnus to personally monitor Nana's health. Is she going to be okay? Lucas asked. She will, but you need to take this seriously. Her heart is already weak due to her age, and she will definitely can't handle anything that will break her heart, Magnus explained. I suggest that you refrain from giving her a heavy heart. I was holding Nana's hand when she started to move and slowly opened her eyes. Where am I? She weakly said. You're in the hospital, Nana, I answered. Let's go home. I don't want to be here, she said while struggling to sit up. Don't exert yourself, Nana. Stay here for a while until your condition is stable, I pleaded with her while trying to lay her down again. Please, Nana. We're all worried about your health. Let Magnus take care of you for a couple more days, Lucas insisted. I don't want to talk to you both, she said without looking at Lucas. We were all shocked by her treatment towards us. Stop calling me Nana. You and Lucas are getting a divorce. You don't have to call me that, she said, then discarded my hand that was holding hers. Nana, please, Lucas pleaded. She is still trying to get up and move from the bed. Lucas and I are trying our best to stop her. She was weak, so it isn't much of a struggle. Nana, you need to stay here so you can get the proper medication, I insisted. No need. I'm ready to leave and be with my husband, she protested. Nana. We both said at once. She just crossed her arms in front of her chest and turned her face away from us. I heard Lucas let out a loud sigh before speaking. We're not getting a divorce, Nana, Lucas said. Someone cleared his throat, which caught our attention. We almost forgot there are other people in the room other than us. I think we should head outside. so you can talk privately, Magnus said. He might have felt uncomfortable in the situation because he already knows that Lucas and I are already separated. I don't know if Magnus knows about the proposition that Lucas and I talked about, but upon seeing his reaction he might have had an idea. We just nodded at him in agreement with what he said. I wasn't expecting what he did next. He grabbed Sandy's arm and brought her with him. I suppressed my smile when I saw Sandy protesting. She obviously doesn't want to go out. This is a family matter, miss. I think you are not needed here, Magnus said, which agitated Sandy even more. She was about to shout at Magnus when Lucas interrupted her and whispered something which made her calm. She eventually went with Magnus and went outside the room. Lucas let out a loud sigh when they finally closed the door. We're not getting a divorce, Nana. We are just fighting and that is normal for a married couple, Lucas started. Don't think about it too much. It won't do you any good, Lucas said while looking at his grandmother with tenderness. I can see how he loved his grandmother. He was always soft and tender when it comes to her. Are you sure? That's not what I heard, she insisted. We're not getting a divorce, Nana, Lucas said with finality. Is that true, Gary? She asked me for confirmation. Why yes, Nana, we won't, I stuttered upon answering her. I suddenly felt guilty lying to Lucas' grandmother. I'm not really good at lying, that's why I'm not sure if I can pull this off. I'm glad to hear that. It really breaks my heart hearing that both of you are talking about divorce, she said. What might be the problem, she added. I was looking for the right word to say when Lucas interrupted. Gary wants to leave but I didn't let her, Nana. I can't be away from her for too long, Lucas said while looking at me intently. His gaze makes me uncomfortable. I turn my eyes away from him. I can't handle the intensity of gaze. Then what about the divorce that I heard last night? She asked. We just had a fight, Nana, like a normal couple. It was a spur of the moment. We didn't really mean it, Lucas added. That was the only time that Nana felt relieved. It may really take a toll on her if we told her that Lucas and I are already separated. I can still remember back in London, how she wished that we are going to grow old together just like they did with her husband back then. I'm also wishing the same. I wanted to spend the rest of my life with Lucas, but I didn't know that I will eventually lose myself in the process of proving my worth for him. He didn't ask anything from me, but I want to be the best that I can be so Lucas can be proud of me. I have no wealth to take pride in. All I have that time is my undying love for Lucas. Gary, Nana called me. I didn't notice that I was lost in my deep thoughts again. Why yes, Nana. Are you saying something? I asked. Are you okay, my child? You don't seem okay, she asked, bothered. I'm fine, Nana. I'm just thinking about something. You're saying something, I inquired. I can't help but feel his intense glare towards me. I don't seem to remember that I said something wrong for him to be mad at me. I tried to look at him to read his face, but I was just greeted with his dark and frowning face. I tried to ignore him and focus all my attention on Nana, thinking about something or someone maybe, he said, cocking his head to the side. I was about to scowl at him when Nana suddenly spoke. I was just telling Lucas about going for a vacation. I can't remember when was the last time I went to the beach. What do you think? That would be great. Me too. I can't remember when was the last time I went to the beach. I'm sure we're going to have some fun, I answered, feeling excited about it. So, when are we leaving Lucas? Nana asked him. I don't think Lucas can leave the firm, Nana. Why don't we go together? Just the two of us, I suggested. No need. I can make some arrangements. I can make it work. I'll just have to settle everything before we go, he said. That's perfect. I really wanted to go with you too. I'm already excited. I have so much going on with mind, she said giddily. I can't help but smile watching her face full of excitement. Slow down, old lady. You need to take some rest and get well before we proceed with your plans, Lucas teased. Who are you calling old lady? You insolent child, she said before throwing the pillow to Lucas. Lucas burst into laughter watching her grandmother getting pissed at him. I didn't notice that I was already laughing watching both of them wrestling with each other. Nana Grace is trying her best to reach for Lucas so she can give him a beating. Lucas keeps on teasing her by trying to kiss her on the cheeks. Nana tried her best to avoid Lucas' kisses. She still acts as if she's still mad at Lucas. It didn't take long before Nana Grace gave in and gave Lucas a warm big hug. It felt so nice looking at them. It brings me back to the time where Lucas and I spent the first few months of our marriage in London with Nana. The room was filled with laughter and squealing. I think Nana is already feeling well since she already has the energy to fight with Lucas. We were interrupted when someone opened the door. We all turned at once only to see that Sandy at the door. I looked at Lucas, and he was stunned, unable to figure out what to do next. Nana is throwing questioning looks to Lucas. Nana is not stupid not to notice that something is going on between those two. Sandy shamelessly walks towards us, squeezed herself between me and Nana's bed. I don't want to cause a scene, that's why I decided to back off and let her go near Nana. I slowly walked towards the sofa that was inside the room and sat for a while. I suddenly felt exhausted. How are you, Nana? She started. I'm fine. Hija. What was your name again? Nana asked. I'm Sandy Fortes, Lucas' colleague. I'm one of the lawyers in his firm. Sandy introduced herself again. I rolled my eyes upon hearing her squeaky voice. How did this woman become a lawyer? I thought you needed brains for you to finish law school. I doubt she even had one. I guess she just uses her money to finish law school. I was throwing daggers at her back. I can't really stand being in the same room with her. If not for Nana Grace, I won't stay here even for a second. I felt the pair of eyes were staring at me. I look at his direction only to be greeted by his deep set of green eyes that were sinking into my soul. There's a small smile playing at his mouth. I bet he saw me throwing daggers at his girlfriend. I rolled my eyes at him and shifted my eyes away from his. Sandy's constant mumbling and boasting about herself and how accomplished she is makes my ears sore. She just stopped talking when Lucas cut her off. I think that's enough for the day. My grandmother needs to rest. Let's go, Sandy. I'll bring you home. I heard Lucas said. I don't want them to notice that what Lucas said affected me. I feel deeply bothered by the thought of them leaving alone in the car and probably alone in her house. Get a hold of yourself, Gary. Yes, that's right. I shouldn't be affected by anything that regards Lucas and his personal life. I don't have the right to feel this way. I can't let Lucas hurt me the way he did before. I've moved on. I shouldn't feel this way. Oh, too bad. I want to spend more time with you, Nana. Don't worry, I will come back tomorrow first thing in the morning, Sandy said. She can't hide her excitement. She's really trying hard to please Nana. Don't bother. I whispered. What? She turned and faced me, asking me what I said. I didn't notice that I quite said those words aloud. I'm just saying that you don't have to do that. I'm sure you're busy with your work and other stuff. I reasoned out. Yeah, I'm kind of busy being a career and well-established woman, but I can make time for you, Nana, she insisted. I'm not sure if she's trying to point something, but I guess she's referring to me. I'm not a career woman like her. That's always been my insecurities, and maybe the main reason why I always point my jealousy towards her. Back in the day, she's the perfect example of what I thought would be perfect for Lucas. A well-educated career woman who came from a wealthy family, unlike me, who has nothing but debt and worn-out clothes. That's enough. Sandy, let's go. Lucas' loud voice is the one who brought me up to my deep thoughts before I sank myself in the depth of my self-pity. Okay, fine. Bye, Nana. See you tomorrow. Thank you for visiting me, Hija. They bid their goodbyes before Lucas and Sandy finally went out. There was a moment of silence when we finally left alone. You didn't even object when he offered to get her home. Nana breaks the silence. I took a deep breath before talking. Lucas is old enough to know what he's doing, Nana. That's all I can tell her. And you're old enough to know that you shouldn't let your husband be with another woman. Even more, let him drive that woman home, she said, scolding me. Well, what can I say? I don't really have much of a choice. I chose to be silent. I don't want to lie to her anymore, Gary. I'm not a fool to see that something wrong is going on between the two of you. You should start doing something about it before it's too late, she said. Of course, only blind won't see that something is wrong with us, but I think Nana still has no idea that it's too late for me to do something about it because we're already divorced. I just hope that she can accept it when she finally knows the truth. Chapter 8. Gary, are you sure it's okay for Lucas that you spent the night here at the hospital? Nana asked me while I was fixing all her things into the bag. Lucas' parents are still overseas. They wanted to go home immediately when they heard about what happened to Nana Grace, but Lucas assured them that Nana is doing fine, and they don't need to cut their vacation short. Lucas' parents had been nothing but good to me, and I can't wait to see them. It's been 2 days since Nana fainted. She spends another 2 days in the hospital because Lucas insisted that Nana should stay at the hospital for a couple more days so Magnus can check up on her. Lucas wanted to make sure that Nana was already fit to go home. This is our last day here and I'm already preparing all our things. We are just waiting for Magnus to give us our discharge slip before we can go home. I insisted on staying here with Nana instead of going home. I don't see any reason for me to spend the night there, especially that the only reason why I'm staying there is here at the hospital. Nana keeps on asking me if this was okay to Lucas. Why wouldn't he be? At least he could have more time with his girlfriend. I'm sure it's fine, Nana, I answered. Did he tell you that? I was stunned by her query. He doesn't need to tell me that. I know for sure that he likes it better this way. Nana, Lucas has been very busy with the firm. I'm sure he wouldn't mind me spending the nights here. You spend 2 straight nights here and it's okay with him, she said, frowning. I was about to open my mouth to come up with some explanation when we heard a familiar voice, of course. It's not okay with me, Nana. You kept my wife from me for 2 days and you have to pay for it. If I did not love you, I wouldn't let you steal my wife away from me, he jokingly said when he entered the room. He was flashing his $1,000,000 smile while walking towards me. I almost jumped when he grabbed my waist and placed a swift kiss on my lips. My eyes widened due to that unexpected kiss. Hey Hon, are you okay? He asked me while looking me in the eyes. That was his ending for me when we're still together. I suddenly missed how he used to call me that. I was lost in his gaze and I can't find my voice to speak. His face that was inches away from mine, and his arms that were wrapped around my body doesn't help either. I cleared my throat trying to remove the lump from it, hoping I can finally find the courage to speak, but no luck. I'm still out for words. Look at you two, such a lovely couple, Nana said as we both turned our face at once. I quickly pushed Lucas and tried to get away from his arms, but he didn't let me. I awkwardly smiled at him and tried to whisper so Nana won't hear a thing. Let go of me, I told him in between my smile. Cooperate with me, my dear ex-wife, or Nana would notice, he said smiling at me. He placed another quick kiss on my lips before he finally let go of me. I wanted to shout at him for doing that, but I know I can't do that in front of Nana. So I take revenge on him. I sneakily put my hand to his back and pinch him hard as possible. I almost laugh at his reaction. I can see that he's hurting, but he's not trying to make it obvious, or Nana will notice. He widens his eyes at me, threatening me. I just rolled my eyes at him and walked past him. Are you ready, Nana? I asked her. I saw her frowning while looking at us. It seems that she's observing us since Lucas arrived. I just hope that she didn't notice me being awkward with that kiss. Are you guys ready? Magnus greeted. He went inside the room to bring the discharge slip and leave some reminders regarding Nana's health. I already arranged all the expenses. I'll just send the bill to your firm, Lucas, he said. Thus, Sancho knows that you are letting your patient leave without payment, Lucas asked. Sancho is the heir to the Della Vega chain of hospitals. He's currently in Italy right now. The last time I heard from him way back when we were still in London, and I'm still married to Lucas. Nah, he won't mind that. Besides, if it's for a beautiful woman like Gary, it's worth the trouble. Magnus flirts and reaches my hand trying to plant a kiss. Stop flirting with my wife, Lucas said while gritting his teeth. He then grabbed my hand from Magnus. Okay, fine. I'll stop flirting with your wife, he said, raising both of his hands as a sign of defeat. His last word didn't escape my ear. He's teasing Lucas and that is not good. I can see how his jaw tightened while trying to control himself. That's enough, both of you, Nana butt in. And why are you not greeting your Nana properly, you little rascal, she said referring to Magnus. The first time that Magnus was here, Nana Grace was still weak and there's tension regarding what happened at the house. That's why they didn't have time to greet each other properly. Lucas and Magnus are childhood friends and they both used to stay with Nana when they were kids, especially when Magnus' parents were in constant fights. I missed you too, Nana, Magnus said before giving Nana a warm hug. You are just like Lucas. Both of you kept on saying you missed me but none of you bothered to visit me, she said while hitting Magnus' arms. Magnus just keeps on ducking, trying to defend himself from Nana's beating. I was smiling watching them when I felt a pair of eyes staring at me. I shift my gaze towards him only to be greeted by his intense gaze. Nothing, I just can't remember when was the last time I saw you smiling like this. I kinda miss it, he said with a serious face. I don't know what to answer him. I used to be this bubbly and full of energy, but everything changed when I entered Lucas' life. I don't want to blame him for what happened because somehow I know that it's both our fault why our marriage failed. Marriage is a two-way street. If there's a crash and you just let that stay on the way, it will cause traffic jams. It will become stagnant until the problem becomes unsolvable anymore. Just don't forget to remind Nana to take her medicine, and don't give her a headache. Will you? Magnus caught our attention. I didn't answer him since I thought that he was referring to Lucas. I was talking to both of you, he added. I just rolled my eyes at him. Magnus has become one of my close friends since my marriage with Lucas. He's the only one available at that time that I can always count on whenever we are having problems. I cut all my connections with them when we separated. I'm glad that he understands it. I will not hold you any longer. Come on, off you go, Magnus said. We bid our goodbyes and thanks to him before we went out of the room. A nurse assists us with Nana's wheelchair while Lucas is carrying some of Nana's bags. He offered on carrying mine, but I refused. No one tried to talk while we're riding the elevator going to the parking area where his car is located. When we reached the parking lot, we saw a black car waiting for us. I was having a second thoughts if I would sit on the front passenger seat or at the back, but it didn't take long before I realized that I don't need to choose. I don't have a choice. How are you, Nana? Are you feeling good already? Sandy cheerfully greeted. She was sitting in the passenger seat beside the driver. She rolled down the window to greet us. It didn't miss my sight when she smirked when her eyes landed on me. I wanted to reap that smug look in her face. I'm feeling better now. Hija, I see that you troubled yourself to come all the way here. Nana kindly said, you shouldn't have done that. I don't want to cause you trouble. It's fine, Nana. What's important to Lucas is important to me, she said shamelessly, while batting her eyelashes to Lucas. The nerve of this woman. I keep on throwing daggers toward Lucas. I saw him gulp when he looked in my direction and met my eyes. I decided to let that bitch and don't let myself be affected by them. They can do whatever they want. The hell I care. The nurses gently put Nana at the back. I went inside the back seat and sat beside Nana. I can sense Nana's questioning looks towards me, but I'm not really in the mood to lie to her. I'll explain it later when I finally calm down. After half an hour, we finally arrived at Lucas' house. I frowned when I saw an unfamiliar car parked outside Lucas' house. I tried to ignore it and focus my attention on helping Nana. It wasn't long enough when I noticed a couple of suitcases that were placed in the middle of the living room when we got inside the house. Whose suitcase is that? Nana asked. That's mine, Nana. I decided to stay here with you while you're here so we can spend more time together and get to know each other, she said in glee. Why, you don't have to do that, Hija. I'm sure you have more important things to do. Please, don't bother yourself with my presence, Nana said, unsure of what to react to Sandy's announcement. I don't mind, Nana. It's my pleasure spending time with you, she said cheerfully, acting as if no one else is there. I can't believe that she even used Nana as an excuse so she can stay at Lucas' house. I wonder if he knows about it. This is more than what I bargained for. This is not what we agreed on. I'm trying my best to control myself so I won't grab the hair of this bitch, and mopped it on the floor. Oh okay. If you say so. Gary, will you please assist me to my room? I heard Nana say. I immediately led her to her room, together with the nurse that Magnus recommended taking care of Nana. I don't want to spend more time here with those two. They only make my blood boil. Are you okay with that, Hija? Nana asked. I quickly looked at her. I stare at her for a couple of minutes finding the right words to answer. I can't tell her it's okay because no wife in their right mind would let another woman sleep in their house. I trust Lucas. Nana. I shouldn't bother myself with that matter. Lucas knows what he's doing. I answered hoping that she would accept my explanation. He's still a man, Gary, Nana added. I know, Nana, but even if I guard Lucas with his every move, if he wants to cheat, he will cheat. Nana just stared at me and kept silent. She gave me an assuring look before speaking. I hope you can still fix it, Nana said. I frowned upon hearing what she said. I wanted to ask her more, but I was afraid to know the truth behind her cryptic words. I smiled at her before laying her down on the bed. You need to rest, Nana. Nurse Jenny will be the one to take care of you. I'll be in the other room. Just call me if you need anything, I told her while pulling the blanket up to her chest. I kissed her forehead before heading outside. I suddenly remembered about the fact that Sandy will stay here in the house with us. Anger slowly started to crawl up on me. How dare him to bring that bitch here while he's with me? I walked towards our room so I could take a rest, but I was greeted by Lucas' face back and forth in the middle of the room. He almost jumped when I opened the door. His eyes widened when he saw my dark face. I didn't try to hide my anger towards him. I want him to know that I don't like this setup. I closed the door and crossed my arms in front of my chest while tapping my toes on the floor, waiting for him to speak. I felt some kind of power when I saw how nervous he was. I raised my eyebrows at him when he didn't start talking. Care to explain? I started when he didn't speak. I didn't want this, but she insisted, he said. And you can't do anything about it, I said, still raising my eyebrows at him. I want him to see how pissed off I am. I'm not really sure which one I am more pissed at. That he let his mistress stays here, or the fact they didn't even try to hide from his relationship with that bitch. It makes me remember all the time that I accused him of cheating on me with that woman. He keeps on denying it that time, but looks where we are now. She threatened me that she will tell Nana the truth about us if I won't let her stay here, he said apologetically. I didn't know you for a coward, I scoffed. I don't have much of a choice. I won't risk Nana's health. She's not going to cause any problem, he uttered. Well, I might. I won't promise that I will be good to your mistress. Tell her to get out of my way, I told him before I turned my back on him and walked towards the closet. Stop calling her that, I heard him say. It wasn't loud, but it is loud enough for me to hear it. Why not? Isn't she one? I scoffed. She's not my mistress, he pointed out. Really? Is she now? I said, rolling my eyes at him. She's not my mistress because we're not married anymore. God damn it, he shouted. I was stunned by his screaming. Those words sent daggers right through my heart. It was as if my whole being was shattered into pieces. He's right. I shouldn't be acting this way. We're not a couple anymore. I don't have any right to feel this way. I took a deep breath before speaking. Why, you're right. I'm sorry. I was out of line. That's all I said before walking past him and head out of the room. I could still hear him calling my name, but I didn't bother to turn around. I walked briskly towards the room that I used to go into whenever I'm having troubles or when we're having a fight back then. I don't think Lucas knows about it even until now. I started to feel the stream of tears running down my cheeks. I quickly wipe it away. I don't want to shed any more tears for Lucas. He isn't worth it. But I can't help myself. It was as if my tears have a mind of their own. I spent my whole afternoon in that room and didn't notice that I had already fallen asleep while crying. Chapter 9. Gary. The sun was almost set when I decided to move out of the room. I haven't eaten anything since morning. That's why my stomach is now starting to grumble. I was walking past the hallway when I bumped into one of the maids who was walking in a hurry. Sus Maria Sep, she said using a popular Filipino expression. We've been looking for you for a while now. You've been missing for 6 hours now. Where have you been? Miranda said. The middle-aged woman who has been working with Lucas' family ages ago. I'm sorry, Manning. I've fallen asleep and lost track of the time. Why? What happened? I curiously asked. The whole house was in turmoil and Sir Lucas was furious. He keeps on nagging everyone to come and find you. Manning, Miranda explained. I gave her an apologetic look for causing trouble. I let her be on her way and continue her job. I volunteered that I'll tell everyone that I'm okay. I went to the living room, and I found all the maids lining in one while Lucas kept on shouting at them. Nana, Grace and Sandy are also there, but they can't do anything to calm him down. How the fuck did she go out and not a single one of you notice? Are you all blind? Lucas screamed at them. What's going on? I interrupted. They all turned in my direction at once. Most of them let out a sigh of relief. Lucas is the last one to face me, and I almost crumble into my feet when I saw how mad he was. I can sense his anger radiating all over the area. I gulped, trying to calm myself as I started to get nervous. Where the hell did you go? We were all looking for you, he shouted at me. I lost track of the time. I was just resting upstairs, I explained. What room? We turned the whole house upside down, and we didn't get to see you, he said, feeling agitated. If you just go up on the 3rd floor you would find me there, I said, rolling my eyes and crossing my arms in front of my chest. Wait a minute. Why are you making it a big deal? So, what if I leave your house? Am I a prisoner here? This time he was the one who was stunned by my question. Instead of answering me, he turned his face towards the maids and told them to continue with whatever they're supposed to do before looking at me. I even heard Sandy snort before murmuring something. Attention seeker. That didn't escape my ears. I glared at her and I was ready to pick a fight when I heard Lucas' loud voice. I think I need to take some rest now. I'm glad that you're okay, Gary, Nana said before standing up. I'll send you to your room, Nana. I offered no. Sandy can take Nana to her room, he said with conviction. You stay here. We need to talk, he said. What? I heard Sandy's protest. He glared at her and she instantly got the message across. She follows Nana Grace while stomping her feet. I felt the ambience become dense when I realized that there's only the two of us that were left there. I cleared my throat before facing him. I saw him looking intensely at me, and I can't help but feel uncomfortable. You don't have to launch a search party, I jokingly said, just to clear the awkwardness. He didn't speak. Instead, he grabbed my arm and dragged me towards our room. He abruptly opened the door, then slammed it after we got inside. You think this is funny, Gary? You think this is a game? He said, grabbing both of my upper arms. Don't you think you're overacting? I asked him, frowning. I don't understand why he's acting this way. It's as if he's afraid of something or someone. Overacting? No, Gary. If I'm overacting, the police and the armies are probably here by now, he said while his grip on my upper arms started to tighten even more. I'm sorry, I stuttered while trying to get away from his grip. My upper arms are starting to get numb, and I feel like his fingers are buried into my skin. He noticed my discomfort, that's why he started to loosen his grip, and eventually let me go. I don't know why he's acting this way. This is the first time that I saw him this worried. You don't know how many enemies I made this past few years, Gary. Who knows what they are planning nowadays, he said after turning his back around. I can see his frustration is getting bigger and bigger as moments go by. It was as if he has this irrational fear of something that I can't comprehend. Well, if you think about it, you don't have to worry about me. I'm sure that if they want to get back at you, I will be the least target, I jokingly said, trying to lighten the mood. He turned his face at me and said, you don't know that, while looking straight to my eyes. I suddenly felt an unfamiliar feeling because of his intense gaze. I somehow felt that he wanted to say something more, but there's another factor that's stopping him from doing that. The warmth of his gaze suddenly engulfed my whole body. "You should get some rest," breaking the silence that started to engulf the whole room. "Oh, okay," I agreed, "but I don't think I can sleep immediately since I just woke up." As if on cue, my stomach started to grumble. I shut my eyes hard, hoping that he didn't hear my stomach grumbling. I slowly opened my eyes, praying that he already left, but I was greeted by his frowning face. "I'll just grab and make a sandwich in the kitchen," I said before walking briskly towards the door. But before I even took 2 more steps, he quickly grabbed my hand and led me to the door. "Come on, let's go," I heard him say. "I can go on my own," I said while trying to take my hand from him, but he tightened his grip even more. "I haven't had my dinner too. You can also make a sandwich for me," he said before walking towards the kitchen while still holding my hand. There's no use in resisting since he doesn't have any plans of letting my hands go. We quietly walked towards the kitchen silently. He finally let go of my hands when we arrived in the kitchen, so I could move freely. I carefully moved towards the ref to look for something to eat. I was thinking of making a chicken sandwich, but that will take too long to make. I turned to him before asking, "Is bacon sandwich okay with you?" "That would be fine," he answered while sitting on the chair in front of the center island that was right behind the sink, where I am preparing the ingredients. I take out the bacon, some lettuces, and eggs from the refrigerator. I can sense that he's watching my every move, and it really makes me conscious. I tried my best to focus my attention on what I'm doing and ignore his presence. I opened the stove and put the pan before putting some oil on it. "Do you need my help?" I almost jumped when I felt his warm breath against my ear. "Don't startle me like that," I snapped at him before hitting his chest. He just chuckled in response. "I'm not doing anything," he denied. I rolled my eyes at him and ordered him to go back on his seat. "Watching you move freely around my kitchen is tempting, but I want to help," he insisted. "Fine. Crack the egg and start beating it," I ordered him. "All right, boss," he jokingly replied. I rolled my eyes at him while trying to hide my smile. I can't help but enjoy these little moments with him. I can't remember the last time we spent our time in the kitchen together. He's been very busy since we came back from London after our marriage. "This is done. What should I do next?" he said, dragging me back from my reverie. "That's enough. You should sit down while I fry the bacon and egg," I told him, trying to avoid his gaze. "But I want to help," while pouting like a child. I can't help but smile at his sudden quirkiness. "Fine. You can fry the bacon and eggs while I prepare the sandwich," I told him. I was about to get the bread that was sitting on top of the island counter when he suddenly moved in my way, which results in me bumping into his hard chest. I bumped so hard that I almost tripped myself, but his hand quickly wrapped around my waist and grabbed so I won't fall. "Careful," he softly said while our faces are inches away from each other. My hands fell on his hard chest. I can smell his minty breath. I gulped when my eyes fell into his luscious lips. My throat suddenly felt dry and I unconsciously licked my lips while staring at his. I suddenly felt the urge to kiss him, but I tried to resist myself. "Thank you," I replied before pushing him away from me. My eyes widened when he didn't let go of me. Instead, he even tightened his arms around my waist. I saw his eyes slowly travel from my eyes down to my nose before it finally settled on my lips. I gulped when I saw the intensity in his eyes. I was about to protest when he did the unexpected. He claimed my lips, which surely took me by surprise. My eyes widened as I was feeling his lips touching mine. It didn't take long before I gave in to my heart's desire. I slowly closed my eyes and started to savor the taste of his lips against mine. My hands started to cling on his neck as I started to open my mouth to him. I already submitted myself to him. I let him guide me to whatever it is that he wanted to do. His lips started moving wildly, and his tongue started to wander inside my mouth. A soft moan escaped my lips when I felt his tongue went inside my mouth. I clung to his neck even more to support myself because my legs started to feel numb. His other hand started to travel from my waist up to my breast. I moaned against his mouth when I felt his hand landed on my breast and squeezed it lightly. I'm starting to feel his growing bulge against my stomach. He scooped me up in the air and put me on the island counter without breaking our lips. He started unbuttoning my shirt while his lips are starting to travel down to my neck up to the valley of my breast. My eyes are closed, and I don't want to open it. Afraid that all these sensations were nothing but a product of my imagination. My buttons are down, exposing my full breast. I can see the pure lust and passion in his eyes while looking at my breast. "Lovely," I heard him say before bringing back his mouth to my exposed mound. We were both enjoying each other's bodies when we were interrupted by thick smoke and the sudden sound of the alarm. The smell of the burning eggs was all over the kitchen. I quickly pushed him away and jumped from the counter to turn off the stove. Lucas, on the other hand, quickly turned off the alarm and turned on the exhaust fan to lessen the thick layer of smoke that was all around the kitchen. The guards and maids quickly ran to the kitchen when they heard the alarm. "Is everything okay?" Manning Miranda asked when she saw us in the kitchen. "Why yes, we're fine. I'm sorry for disturbing you," I said, turning my back on them. "So I can fix my clothes. You can go back to sleep. We can manage here," I heard Lucas said, dismissing the others. I was glad that Sandy and Nana weren't woken up by the alarm. I can't imagine the awkwardness if it happens. I didn't bother looking at them. I focused my attention on cleaning up the burnt egg from the pan. I was also trying my best not to make contact with Lucas. I don't know how to face him after what happened a while ago. I don't know where we are leading to if the alarm didn't go off. We're practically making out on top of the island counter. "Let me help you with that," I heard him say behind my back. I didn't bother to turn around, and continued fixing the pan so I could continue cooking. I felt him lean towards me when I didn't answer him. Both of his hands were leaning on the sink where I am standing. I was not imprisoned in between his arms. My heart almost jumped out of my rib cage when I felt his warm breath against my nape. "Are you trying to ignore me?" he teased. I can feel that his face is just inches away from my nape. "What do you want?" I scowled at him, turning around to face him. "To finish what we started," he said while moving his face towards me. "That was a mistake," I insisted, moving my face away from him when he started to lower down his face. He was stunned with what I said. It was as if he suddenly realized something. He then started to remove his hands on my side and stood up straight. He looked at me for a moment as if he's reading my mind. I tried to look away from his eyes, afraid of what he could read through it. "Yeah, this is a mistake," he said before walking out of the kitchen. I didn't realize that I was actually holding my breath. I let out a sigh of relief when he finally left the kitchen. Chapter 10, Gary. I continued making the sandwich after Lucas left. I took a deep breath and gathered my thoughts before I continued making my dinner. I was hesitant if I should make one for Lucas or not, but decided to pursue the former. I finished eating mine, then cleaned up the kitchen a little bit before deciding to go back to our room. I know that he's going to sleep in his study room since that's the setup we agreed on. I went upstairs and went straight to his study room to bring him his sandwich. I knocked 3 times but no one is answering. I was thinking that maybe he's already sleeping, but I tried to knock one more time. Still, no one answered. I tried to turn the knob and look inside. I frowned when I found the room empty. There's no sign of anyone in there. My eyes slowly widened with the thought that he might be in our room. I quickly walked towards our room. I abruptly opened the room, and I was greeted by the scent of his favorite body wash. I saw him standing right outside the door of the bathroom wearing nothing but his pants that's made up of pure superma cotton. He's drying his hair using a small towel. He lifted his head and looked directly into my eyes. I was disappointed when he immediately withdrew his eyes from me. He walked past me and went straight to the couch on the other side of the room. My eyes landed on the laptop and papers that were on top of a small table in front of the couch. It was as if he created his little office inside the room. He even moved the lampshade to his table that was on top of the bedside table. I let out a small chuckle when I realized why he did that. He still remembers that I can't sleep with lights on. He turned his face in my direction, and he frowned when he saw me smiling. "What?" he asked while frowning. "I don't want Nana to think that we're avoiding each other," he said when he realized what I was looking at. "I'll sleep in the study room if Nana stops being suspicious of us," he explained. "I don't mind if you stay here. You can sleep on the couch," I answered. I walked briskly towards him with the small plate containing the sandwich on his table. "I made a sandwich for 2. You can throw it away if you don't want it," I told him before quickly turning my back on him. It didn't take me a few steps before I heard him say something. "You do know that nothing is going on with me and Sandy when we're still together, right?" he said, referring to the argument we had in the kitchen. I froze upon hearing what he said. I turned my face on him but his eyes are still on his laptop. "What did you say?" I asked him even though I heard him clearly the first time. He slowly turned his face towards me and looked me intently in the eye. "Sandy and I were not a thing when we're still married. She's never my mistress and I never cheated on you," he added. "Why are you telling me this now? Isn't it too late for that?" I said, not knowing what to feel exactly. I heard him let out a loud sigh. "Yeah, you're right," he answered, dismissing the topic. I'm not sure why, but I suddenly felt irritated by the way he handles the conversation. It was as if he wanted to say something but decided not to. "Stop doing that," I exclaimed. "Doing what?" he said calmly. He didn't even bother by my sudden outburst, explaining something but instead of having clarification. "You tend to leave more questions than answers," I frantically said. "What do you want me to say?" he calmly answered. "Tell me everything. Explain to me what you mean by what you just said." My voice is escalating as with my breathing. "That Sandy is never my mistress." It wasn't really a question but a confirmation. "It is what it is, Gary. There's no more explanation needed." She was never my mistress, and I never cheated on you, he answered, which makes me frown even more. Why are you only telling me this now? I know I sound like a broken record for repeating everything that I said, but I'm desperate to know the truth. I already told you this before, Gary, but you never listened, he answered. Why now? I was hysterical, and I don't know the reason why. Why not the night after our last fight, or the first year after our divorce? Why now? I was not really sure what answer I was looking for. I wanted to bombard him with so many questions, but I'm not really sure if I was ready to hear the truth. Would you listen to me if I did? I was stunned by what he said. You're not listening with anything other than the sound of your own voice. Even if I explained it to you back then, you wouldn't even hesitate to accuse me of what you thought I did. He remained calm upon telling me those things. I hate to admit, but he's right. I know that I wouldn't listen to him. I would still push what I think is right. I don't believe you. That's the only answer I could think of. You never did, he said with sorrow in his eyes. I'm out for words. I don't really know what to say. Did I doubt him that much? I tried to open my mouth and answer him, but no words came out of it. I suddenly felt guilty. Lucas was never a perfect husband, but so was I. We had our own troubles, and instead of fixing it together, I decided to put all the blame on him. I always thought that I'm the only one who suffered from our marriage, that I'm the only one who felt suffocated, but now I've realized that I'm not the only one who's hurting. I wanted to comfort him and tell him that's okay, but I know that it isn't. Nothing is okay since I saw him kissing Sandy that day. My thoughts of comforting him vanished in thin air the moment I remember that day. Just like that, I'm back to my old self, always doubting myself if I'm doing the right thing or not. I never wanted to go back to the way I was before. I decided to leave the heated conversation and went inside the bathroom. I needed something that would separate me from his overpowering presence. I locked the door and slowly slid my back against it before slumping my butt on the floor. A stream of tears started to flow down my cheeks. I'm not sure why I am hurting right now. It feels like all the bad memories keep coming back, and it's drowning me. I stood up and slowly took off all my clothes and get in the shower naked. I turned on the shower before I sat down on the bathtub and pulled both of my legs tightly close to my body in a fetal position. I let out all my frustrations and anger and let myself be drowned with my own tears. I didn't know how long I would stay there. I just heard a soft knock from the door before I heard Lucas speaking from the other side of the door. Gary, are you okay? I heard him ask, but I don't have any strength to speak up. I heard him knock once more, but this time it sounds stronger than he did a while ago. I can sense the panic in his knock before he called my name once more. Gary, I heard him shout before abruptly opening the door of the bathroom. I don't know how he did that. I'm not sure if he used his key, or I forgot to lock the door. Jesus Christ, I heard him utter when he saw me sitting on the bathtub while the water from the shower was continuously falling down against my skin. He quickly turned off the shower and immediately took a towel before wrapping it around my body. Still, I was unable to make any move or speak anything. I feel paralyzed. That's why I didn't protest when he lifted me and carried me to bed. After drying me with the towel, he put me on a bathrobe before laying me down on the bed. He remains calm and collected while attending me. He was about to go back to the couch after he finishes tending me when I reached out for his hand. He confusedly looked at me before realizing what I want even without me speaking. I don't want him to go. Just for tonight. I want to feel the warmth of his embrace once again. I want to let myself feel the heat that I always crave for. I want to sleep beside him even just for tonight. He slowly climbed up to the bed and lay down beside me. He wrapped his arms around my waist and pulled me closer to him. I can finally feel the warmth of his body. Don't ask. Just for tonight. I want to forget everything, I answered, even if I don't know what it is that he's about to say. I feel him nod against my head before pressing his face against my neck. I closed my eyes trying to get some rest, but that was impossible, especially when Lucas' hand was starting to roam around my body. I quickly opened my eyes when I felt his hand caressing my stomach. I held my breath when it started to travel up to my breast. Not because I'm letting you sleep beside me doesn't mean that your hands are free to roam around, I said, not turning my face to him. I know his face is only inches away from mine, and turning around will definitely cause our faces to touch. I heard him chuckle against my shoulder. What? I'm not doing anything, he shamelessly denied. I can feel his smile against my shoulder. Really, Lucas? I heard him chuckle. I'm just checking if you're okay now, he said without any effort of removing his hand on my waist. I think you're not okay. I might need to check you more. Let's see, he said. I wasn't expecting what he did next. He grabbed my shoulder, forcing me to lay on my back while he's pinning both of my hands against the pillow above my head. What are you doing, Lucas? I was frantic by his sudden aggressiveness. Checking up on you, he said while flashing his boy next door smile that can wet any girl's underwear. His free hands started to touch my waist down to my legs. He forcefully separated my legs so he can settle his body in between them. I wanted to struggle and stop him from what he's doing, but I know I'm just lying to myself if I said that I don't want this. Of course, I want this. Why would I stop him from leaving and letting him sleep beside me if I don't? From my legs, his hand started to go up to my waist, and reached the strap of my bathrobe and started to untie it. His eyes are never leaving mine. I may not see what his hand is doing, but I can feel every heat that his touch left in every inch of my body. I wasn't sure if it was a protest or a moan. Yes, my love, he answered. Lucas. I called him again. Not entirely sure why I am repeatedly calling his name. Just say the word, my love, and I will oblige, he said while his eyes are pouring out different emotions that I can't explain. My right mind wants me to tell Lucas to stop, but part of me wants this to happen. I'm not sure why we ended up in this position. The last thing I knew was that we're arguing about the past, and the next thing I knew is that I'm pinning against the bed with this gorgeous man on top of me. Now, Margaret, tell me, what do you want me to do? He asked me again while looking at me intently. I can see pure lust and hunger through his eyes, and I'm sure that he's seeing the same through mine. Forget about Sandy, forget about tomorrow. I want to give in to what my heart truly desires. I want Lucas, and that's all that matters. I will just think of the consequences tomorrow. I collected all the courage that I can get before I speak, but before I can open my mouth, a knock on the door made us turn our face on the door at once. I gathered all my strength before pushing Lucas away from me. I quickly get up and went towards the door to check on it. I can sense Lucas' disapproval, but I didn't give him any chance to protest. Chapter 11, Gary. I couldn't believe that I almost asked Lucas to kiss me last night. I've never been this thankful to Sandy for interrupting the disaster that's about to happen if she didn't knock on the door. I wanted to slap myself for letting me succumb in a moment of weakness. How could I be easily persuaded by him? Am I that smitten to his charm? It's been 3 years. Gary moved on. He obviously has. He went outside with Sandy last night when she almost went wild after seeing Lucas with me in a room. When they're gone, I made sure to lock the door so Lucas won't get a chance to get inside my room while I'm sleeping. I don't want to stay anywhere near him. Being close to him is a sin waiting to happen. I go downstairs after I finish fixing myself to join everyone for breakfast. I was greeted by everyone except Lucas, who keeps on glaring at me. Both Lucas and Sandy are wearing their usual office attire and seem like they're ready to go to work. Lucas is wearing his usual 3-piece suit while Sandy is wearing a sexy black dress that hugged every curve in her body. She's not even thinking twice about flaunting her big breast with that dress. How I wish I could be that confident in wearing something like that. What's his problem? I frowned upon seeing Lucas' irritated face. I don't see the reason why he will be mad at me. I should be the one to get mad at him for taking advantage of my weakness last night. Really, Gary? Taken advantage? Who grabbed Lucas' hand again and told him to stay? I contradicted myself. Damn it. She's right. This internal fight with myself is really pissing me off. I think I'm about to lose my mind at any moment. Good morning, Gary. How's your sleep? Nana Grace greeted me ecstatically. It's fine, Nana. I slept well last night. How about you? It's good. Of course, there's a jet lag, but other than that I'm fine, she said. How about you, Lucas? How's your sleep? She turned to Lucas. I slept in my study room. Nana, he said emphatically. Oh my. Why is that? Nana asked with a worried look. Because my dear wife locked the door in our room, he said, glaring at me. I almost choked on my drink when I heard what Lucas said. Everyone's eyes landed on me. I'm not actually expecting him to go back to our room, but it still shocked me. Didn't he spend the night with Sandy? Are you okay, Hija? Nana worriedly asked me. I'm fine, Nana, I said in between coughing. I can feel Lucas' gaze towards me. That's why I lifted my head. His look somehow tells me that I deserve this for locking my door on him last night. He can't blame me. I'm not really expecting him to go back, and I don't want to sleep with him in the same room. Are you fighting again? Nana asked. We're not, Nana. I'm not aware that I locked the door, I said in my defense. You could have knocked, I said, shrugging my shoulders. I did, he said before striking his fist on the table. I almost hurt my knuckles for knocking so hard last night, he said while gritting his teeth. Oops, my bad, I said before faking a smile towards him that angers him even more. Yes, I heard him knocked last night, but I decided to ignore him. That's for the better. What worse could happen if I allow myself to be that close to him again? That's enough. The food is getting cold. Let's eat, Nana said. We all proceed to eat our food. I just noticed that Sandy seems to be silent beside Lucas. I'm not used to her being this quiet. I looked at her and something was off about her. It seems like she's not her old self who's a bitch. Don't you like the food, Hija? Nana asked Sandy. She also noticed that Sandy is barely touching her. Food. I think they fought last night. That's the only logical reason for her to be acting strange this morning. It's fine, Nana. Don't worry about me, she said, forcing a smile on her face. What's your plan for today, Nana? I asked, about trying to change the topic. Nothing much. I was actually planning on resting for the whole day, she said while sipping her coffee. I haven't fully recovered from the last time, and I don't want to take some risk, she explained. That's great. I'll stay with you today, Nana, I offered. Oh, silly child. No need, I'll just bore you, she said, laughing. Why don't you go on a date with your husband, she said, teasing us. I cleared my throat trying to look for the best word to say. I'm busy at the office, Nana. I have a lot of hearing today. I need to finish that before we leave next week. I heard him say, I'm sure you can find time for your wife, right? Lucas, it's fine with me. She can come to my office if she wants, he blandly said. I would like to spend more time with you, Nana. I insist. Besides, no one would look after you if I go with Lucas, I added. I think Sandy would like to accompany me today, right? Hija, she said, turning her attention to Sandy, who remained quiet. I saw her open her mouth to speak, but she was cut off when Lucas butt in. She's going home, Nana. She won't be staying here any longer, he said without even lifting his head or even looking at Sandy. I don't know what's happening. I shift my gaze back and forth to Lucas and Sandy. Something is wrong with these two. It's fine if she wants to stay here longer. Lucas, Nana said. She's going home today, Nana. Period. He said with finality before he stood up. I'm done with my meal, he said before turning his back on us. Sandy immediately followed him. I'm glad that my grandson finally knocked some senses, I heard Nana say. I didn't comment on what she said, and continued eating my breakfast. I keep on throwing glances at Lucas and Sandy that are now in the living room. I can see them arguing, but I can't hear what they're arguing about. I quickly shifted my gaze back at my plate when I saw him walking back towards the dining table. Aren't you coming? I heard him say. I slowly lifted my head and looked at him. Me? I asked him to be sure. What about me? I said, not having any idea what he's talking about. He gave me that annoyed look. I need you to be ready in 5 minutes. We're leaving at exactly 7 a.m., he said before turning his back again and going to the garage, probably to get the car ready. Sandy is standing in the middle of the living room. She looks devastated and about to cry. Gary. 5 minutes, Lucas said, catching my attention while gesturing to his wristwatch. I quickly got up and kissed Nana on the cheek before running towards my room. I know that look on his face. That's the sign that you shouldn't mess up with him. He's obviously having a bad day. No one dares to say a word when the three of us get in the car. I was the one sitting on the shotgun seat while Sandy was at the back. All her suitcase was already put in the trunk. I was looking at Sandy through the rearview mirror. She has puffy eyes, probably from crying. I don't know what happened to them, but it seems like they fought. I glimpsed on Lucas, whose attention was on the road. I just shifted my gaze back on the window and looked outside until we arrived at Lucas' firm. I'm not really sure why I am here. I have nothing here, but I guess it wouldn't hurt to go here once in a while. I used to have some good friends around here. Lucas employees are nothing but good to me. Back in the day when I had nothing to do at home, and I got bored, I always came to Lucas' office, and messed with the office, and waited for him until he finished all his work. We parked beside a Ford black sedan. Lucas went out of the car, still not saying anything. He went straight to the trunk and brought out all Sandy's suitcase. Sandy followed Lucas and tried to tell him something, but Lucas ignored her and went to my side to open the car door. Let's go, he coldly said. I was confused about what's happening, but I decided to keep quiet and follow Lucas. He held my hand and lightly pulled me towards the elevator, leaving Sandy at the parking lot. Isn't she coming with us? I confusedly asked when I saw her standing at the parking lot beside her car looking devastated. Did something happen? I curiously asked. You don't have to worry about it, he answered without releasing my hand. I felt awkward when I suddenly felt the heat of my hand against mine. The feeling felt familiar and I am bothered. I shouldn't be feeling this towards him. It seems like all my feelings for him that I buried in the deepest part of my soul are starting to crawl their way up to my heart. The sound of the elevator ringing brought me back to myself. We were greeted by some of the familiar faces. They were all expressing their gladness to see me again after all these years. Gary, it's so glad to see you, Amberly greeted. She has been a secretary for attorney Hargreaves, Lucas' father, and works for Lucas afterward when his father retired. She's tall, has a great shape, and porcelain skin. Her long brown hair complements her heart-shaped face. She was nothing but a good thing, and never did I feel jealousy upon her, even though I know that she's with Lucas all day. Maybe it's because Amberly never did anything to make me feel uncomfortable. She was nothing but a sweet girl to me. Lucas was welcomed by one of the lawyers in the firm and they started talking about work. I just focused my attention on Amberly since I don't know what they are talking about. It's nice to see you too, Amberly. How have you been? I asked her, giving her my warmest smile. It's fine, Lucas is sometimes an ass but I can manage, she said. They were more like a friend rather than co-workers. Of all the women that go around Lucas, Amberly is the only one that I trusted and never doubted. How's the firm going? I asked her. She led me to her table and that's where we continued chatting. I hate to admit but I miss this girl. She's one of my few friends during my marriage with Lucas. Still the same. Nothing interesting. Forget about the firm. How have you been? She excitedly asked. It's fine. I'm still not finished speaking when Amberly butt in. How's Cagayan? I heard you're staying there to get some fresh air, she said, which makes me frown in confusion. 3 years is a long vacation, huh? I bet you really enjoyed the fresh air, she added. Why do you look surprised? Aren't you staying in Cagayan? This time it was Amberly who looked confused. Why yes, I did, I answered. But how did you know? I curiously asked. Of course from Lucas. He said that you're staying in Cagayan for a while. Isn't it right? She confusedly asked. And no, of course, you're right, I said with an awkward smile. What did he tell you? Why am I staying there? I asked her, trying to pick up all the missing puzzle. Something is not right here. You're acting weird. She chuckles but her smile fades when she figures out that I'm serious with what I'm asking. He said you wanted to take some vacation. I turned my eyes to Lucas who was still busy talking with one of his lawyers. I think he senses my gaze. That's why he immediately looked at my direction. Our eyes met, and I could feel thousands of volts running through my veins. I was the one who could not stand the heat of his intense stare. That's why I was the one who looked away first, and returned my eyes to Amberly. How about Sandy? Aren't they a thing, Sandy? You've got to be kidding me. Don't you dare get jealous about that girl. She always follows Lucas like a dog but Lucas is not interested in her at all. She exaggeratedly says, Lucas only has his eyes on you, girl. Trust me, I know, she teased me. They're not a thing. Not ever, I asked, trying to be sure. Never, never, she said, prolonging the word. Sandy is the daughter of a great client, that's why Lucas is trying to be good to her. Even though she flirts with Lucas shamelessly, Lucas never laid his eyes on her, she said, rolling her eyes. Lucas is just looking out for the company. That's why she's tolerating that spoiled bitch, Amberly added. My heart started beating loudly. It feels like the world suddenly stopped. What the hell is happening?